Have you been hearing the term product led growth? Then, in this video, let's talk a little bit about what is product led growth. So, simply speaking, product led growth is basically a business strategy where the product itself is the primary driver of customer acquisition, retention, and expansion. Unlike service businesses, where service is the focus, in the product, it's the product which is the focus, and the growth of the product is equivalent to the growth of the business. And what are the features basically of a product led strategy? So, obviously, the product is at the center of the customer journey. There is no need for a salesperson to explain the value. It is designed to be intuitive and valuable. And the typical models that you're already seeing are the free trials, freemium, try before you buy. So, almost all of the tech products today that you might be interacting with are classic PLGs, right? Where you just log in, start using the product as a free user, and then you need to upgrade to a paid customer to get more features. I would say that ChatGPT is a fantastic example of PLG. We have all been using it from the start since it came about. So, the same thing, the freemium model, self service onboarding, the growth has been organic and viral. It was mostly others telling us about ChatGPT. Have you used ChatGPT? And if you see the interface, it was very simple. So I'll switch to the interface. If you see, it is just one line and it is so intuitive that anybody with even no technical skills can start using a product. So that's the beauty about, product led growth. Also with ChatGPT, it was a bottoms up approach. It was actually first used by individuals. It hit a million number very fast and then it went into enterprises. Of course, there are many, many more examples, but obviously, all the popular tools that you use: Slack, Canva, Figma, Airtable, Notion, Calendly, classic PLG. And so, obviously, where you have a product, you will have the metrics. So, there are three different funnels to look at when it comes to looking at the product metrics, right? See, the first one or the first bucket that we're looking at is the acquisition and activation, in which you could look at metrics like time to value, which is the amount of time it takes for a new user to realize your product's core benefit for the first time, like the aha moment, the activation rate, which is a percentage of new signups who complete a key action. It could be anything for the product that you are building or are part of. Say, for example, the activation rate could be the time to create a design on Canva, right? Then, product qualified leads. These are basically just equivalent of the MQLs and the SQLs, which was the marketing qualified leads and the sales qualified leads. But essentially, the PQLs are the ones which could convert into paying customers for your product. The second bucket would be the engagement and the retention, which is where, of course, stickiness is a big factor which comes into being. So, the ratio of daily active users to monthly active users, the feature adoption rate, which features of your product are being adopted by users actively, and which would relate to the long term retention and conversion to paid plans. And of course, the net promoter score, while it still remains a qualitative metric, yet it is a very important metric because it does determine how much people are recommending your product to others. And the third bucket is the monetization and expansion, the most important one, which is obviously you're looking at the free to paid conversion rate. So, the number of free users who converted to paid users, the average revenue per users. Obviously, you would want this number to be going up. The net revenue churn, which is basically how much the revenue that you make from existing customers overcomes the revenue that you are losing because of the churn, and the customer lifetime value, which is the total revenue you can expect to generate from a single user over a course of time. So to have some quick, takeaways or conclusions from the product-led growth strategy is that yes, it's a growth strategy and it's also a mindset shift, which is when you're completely focusing on the product and that becomes basically the hero of your story, right? And when it comes to sales, in typical or traditional businesses, salespeople are hired first, where they help grow and talk to users, try to get users. But in a product-led strategy, it is the product which has the focus as the hero, and that brings in users. And the salespeople come in much later as accelerators, where, say, for example, somebody is looking at an enterprise plan, right? Or wants to customize a plan suited for their requirements. So that is when they come in as accelerators, which is they help to grow the share of the pie for the business. So that's about product led strategy. And stay tuned for more.